Hey guys, good morning and welcome back to another episode of Earthen's Den. And in this episode, I want to talk to you guys about standards. Now, oftentimes we are shamed for our standards. I'm going to just lay it out here on the front line. I feel like when it comes to Black women having standards, it just is completely different. And, Black men will say the same thing. So what we're not going to do is go back and forth. When it comes to having standards as a whole, it is almost something that is ashamed of, I will say. However, slow your roll. Here's what I found. Let me just tell you what I found. When it comes to standards, right? Standards are typically based off of a experience that you had, that you learned from, where you kind of put yourself in a position where you're like, okay, I want to do something better, right? So essentially, standards is nothing more than exposure. So what I find in today's society is that as technology, I was going to say technological advancements, but as technology is increasing, people are actually becoming dumber. When I say dumber, I mean people are not thinking for themselves. People are making decisions based off of what it is that they see. Now, don't get me wrong. I think, let me just stay on this track. People are making decisions based off of the things that they see. People are neglecting their intuition, their common sense. There is so much beauty in naivety. Let me just say that. Here's what I found. Right? When you don't know something, it is so much power in that area. And the reason is because you get to explore it freely, right? And it then then have the experience that you could acquire versus like going online, listening to somebody else's experience or looking at a couple memes, or even reading books. Like you can just kind of be in a space where it's like, okay, yes, that's so cool. I learned that. And I think it's this right here that allows us to have a more fulfilling and enriching life. And so now when it comes to standards in regards to successes, okay, let's just talk about this. I personally could say, though I had some issues growing up, honestly, I really did have a nice life. Like I was pretty much spoiled for the most part. And when I was 12 years old, I tell you guys this story all the time. I went to a Homeorama with my dad. We toured $1 million homes, and he said, repeatedly referred me, you can have anything you want, you can have anything you want, you can have anything you want. So in my mind, when I was like 12 years old, right, when I was like, let me just say this, when I was 10, right? So when I was 10, I was looking at like Drees homes. Now, Drees is like these little community homes that you can see, like, it's kind of in the burbs. Sometimes they're like on a corner of like weird places, but they're just like little 3-bedroom homes. I said, man, I just want to give me one of these. And I always knew that, like very early on, I just would see these houses and I think they were just so beautiful. But when my dad instilled in me that I could get the $1 million home, that is right there when my taste buds changed, my exposure changed. So then I started to seek out these things, right? I would sit and watch HGTV, and I was just like I was totally captivated by the beauty of architecture, and I was captivated by those things. And so my father was an entrepreneur. He went on to buy some houses and fix them up. When I seen what he would do with these houses, that was just my overall captivation. I was like, okay, this is what I want. But do you see how that exposure changed me from wanting that Drees home to him telling me, hey, it's a possibility, that you could have this. Even though at 12 years old, of course, I had no idea how I was going to do that. Or even if, that was, I had no clue, right? But see, I believed it. And so I thought to go after it. Now, that was just a little backstory on me. Now I'm going to talk about people who have this exposure to Instagram, but it is not the reality, and it is not something that it's almost like it's a desire that is not really based on like, here's the thing. People are seeing people online, and you're actually starting to think that there is a world that exists outside of your world, right? And we talk about your world, we're really talking about our world in itself at large, at best, right? So, for example, you have Instagram models, they banging, they looking great, they're doing the bodies, in the gym, they're, and even it's for the men, like they look amazing, right? It's cool. We love to see it. We love, we love health. We love Black love. It's great. But the thing is, when you meet somebody in today's world, most girls are not walking around with the Coke bodies. That's just not what it is, right? And so now you're like, okay, well, I need to do X, Y, and Z. I need to better myself to get this, not recognizing that, hey, that is not necessarily something that's in reach. You know what I mean? And that it takes time to cultivate these things. So I really hope I'm making sense with this, and I hope I'm not losing anybody. But the point that I'm making overall is like, you really got to be mindful of where you're coming from in regards to your standards. Like, are these standards something that are true to you? Period. Are these standards, or is it something that you've just been exposed to that you feel like, oh, a shiny little kid in the grocery store, I want to touch it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying comparing you guys to what I just said. And, I'm not comparing the two. I'm just letting you know what exposure does to you. so you can be mindful of what you're exposing yourself to. That's all I want to say. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. I'm going to leave you guys with your thoughts. Really sit on that.